Hello and welcome to the conference final preview of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Today I will be previewing the Eastern Conference Finals between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Tampa Bay Lightning. I will be previewing the Western Conference tomorrow as Game 7 of the Nashville and San Jose series and St. Louis and Dallas series have not been played yet. Let's get started. The Pittsburgh Penguins and Tampa Bay Lightning have had entirely different paths to the Eastern Conference Finals. For Pittsburgh, they had to go through two of the toughest teams in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion. The New York Rangers and the Washington Capitals are two of the toughest teams to beat. In Tampa Bay's case, even though they were playing without two of their best players in Steven Stamkos and Anton Strawman, they played two of the weakest teams in the Eastern Conference in the Detroit Red Wings and the New York Islanders. So their path to the Eastern Conference was much easier than the Pittsburgh Penguins. On paper, the Pittsburgh Penguins look way deeper and seem to be a better team than the Tampa Bay Lightning. But as we all know, the game is not played on paper. Therefore, we will have to tune into the game to see how this series plays out. The goaltending matchup in this series is projected to be Matt Murray for Pittsburgh going up against Ben Bishop of the Tampa Bay Lightning. I will start with Matt Murray. Matt Murray has been a revelation for the Pittsburgh Penguins. With Marc-Andre Fleury starting the playoffs off with a concussion, that may or may not have been a blessing in disguise for the Penguins, because Matt Murray has just come along and become that goaltender that they can rely on to stop shot after shot after shot. In the series against Washington, he was absolutely stellar, and they could rely upon him to make big saves at key moments. Matt Murray is going to do more of the same against the Tampa Bay Lightning, or have to do more of the same against the Tampa Bay Lightning in order to advance past them, as Tampa Bay has a lot of firepower in their lineup, even without Steven Stamkos. For Tampa Bay, Ben Bishop has already established himself as an elite goalie. He's led his team to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, and he has brought his team to the conference finals this year. Ben Bishop is a big-time goalie. And one thing about Bishop that really stands out is his puck handling ability. His ability to play the puck really helps his defense out, because they don't have to skate back to handle the puck. Because of his ability to handle the puck, it helps the team break out a lot, and it also hinders the forecheck of the other team. That is a big help to the Tampa Bay offense. That is one thing to look forward to, because of Ben Bishop's puck handling ability. Pittsburgh Penguins may have to alter their game plan. They can no longer chip and chase, because if you dump it in, Bishop will just come out and play the puck up to the forwards, and it will be a counterattack. Key defensemen in the series for Pittsburgh is Chris Letang, Trevor Daley, and the combination of Ben Lovejoy and Ian Cole. I will start with Ben Lovejoy and Ian Cole. These two are a perfect penalty kill tandem. They are kind of the unsung hero of the Penguins back end, because they needed defensemen to step up in the absence of Olli Maatta in the Washington, and that they did. And with the suspension of Chris Letang, it was Trevor Daley and Ben Lovejoy with Ian Cole that stepped up in place of Chris Letang. So these two are going to have to play big roles in the penalty kill, as Tampa Bay has an equally deadly power play as Washington. Trevor Daley is another key defenseman. Trevor Daley, ever since being acquired from Chicago, has been absolutely stellar for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He has been jumping up in the rush. He's been adding to the offense. And he's actually been playing pretty good defensively as well. And last but not least, Chris Letang. Chris Letang, there's nothing else to describe him, but what an absolute horse on the back end for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He plays at least 30 minutes a game in the playoffs, if not 35. It seems like he's on the ice every other shift. He plays in all situations. He can be counted upon to do everything on the ice. And it's not like he's stationary. He moves all the time, which makes it all the more impressive. And Chris Letang and Trevor Daley, the top defensive pair, is going to have a heavy task as they're going up against the triplets, who are, unlike Ovechkin, they pass the puck, and you cannot focus upon one player. You have to focus upon all three. That makes that line deadly. Now for the key defenseman for Tampa Bay. Victor Hedman is the key defenseman for Tampa Bay. Victor Hedman has been really their go-to guy on defense this playoffs. You know, when this season, Victor Hedman has been sleepwalking through the regular season. He had mediocre regular season stats, but as the season or playoff began, Victor Hedman stepped up his game and brought his play to a whole nother level. It was Victor Hedman that jumps up into the play, starts the rush. He is more active and more mobile than ever. And with the absence to Anton Strawman and no Steven Stamkos, they need Victor Hedman to add to the attack. And that is exactly what they're doing with Victor Hedman. Victor Hedman has also established himself as a premier shutdown defenseman in the NHL. And he's going to have his hands full this matchup against either Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin. Another key defenseman is going to be Jason Garrison. Jason Garrison isn't likely to be matched up against Malkin, but he is going to be matched up against the Kessel, bonino, and Hagelin line. The Kessel, bonino, and Hagelin line has been their best line this playoff. Not the Crosby line, not the Malkin line, but the Kessel line. Jason Garrison is a defenseman that has a rocket of a shot, but the issue with him is, at times, when passing the puck out of the defensive zone, he can get a little careless and be prone to giveaways. He's going to have to take care of the puck against Pittsburgh, as they are a team that is really good at making you pay for your mistakes. And the last defenseman is Braden Coburn. Braden Coburn is likely going to be matched up against either Crosby or Malkin. Whoever they don't put Hedman against, they're going to put Coburn against. Coburn is a defenseman that has size, and he's a player that's physical. That's exactly why they got Coburn, because he's physical. And he can get underneath the opposition's skin. And now for the forwards. For Pittsburgh, I'm going to have to start with the bonino, Hagelin, and Kessel line. Bonino, Hagelin, and Kessel line has been Pittsburgh's best line this playoffs. They have been so prolific that Malkin and Crosby got away with scoring only one goal combined last series. That is absolutely amazing, considering when you have two of your best players only scoring 1 goal combined. That just goes to tell you how stellar that line has been. The Kessel, bonino, hagelin line has to be noticed by Tampa Bay. They cannot focus solely upon the Crosby and Malkin line. But that kind of is the trap by Pittsburgh, because you cannot take your attention off Crosby and Malkin, because if you do, they'll make you pay. So that kind of is the key to depth. And next is Evgeny Malkin. Evgeny Malkin was rather quiet in the last round, as was Sidney Crosby. Evgeny Malkin has to have a better showing in the conference finals if they want to get past Tampa Bay. Because Tampa Bay is a team-oriented defense. They really play a structured defensive core. Malkin cannot rely on individual skill to beat Tampa Bay. He needs to work with his teammates. Sidney Crosby needs to shoot the puck more. It's simple. When watching Sidney Crosby this playoffs, he's reluctant to shoot the puck. He wants to set up his line mates, mostly because the opposition's defensemen have done a really good job at closing up his time and space, especially Niskanen and Alzner last series. But it's not going to get any easier for him, as Tampa Bay is going to do the same thing. So Crosby and Malkin have to do a much better job than they did last series. So for Tampa Bay, the key forwards are Nikita Kucherov, Tyler Johnson, Jonathan Drouin. Those are the 3 key forwards, as well as Andre Palat, Alex Killorn, and Valtteri Filppula. Valtteri Filppula isn't really an elite offensive player, but he's important because he's their second-line center. He is a good two-way center, and he's likely going to be matched up against Malkin, making him even more important. Alex Killorn is important as well because he plays on the second line. He's on the line with Filppula and Drouin. That's a very important role. Killorn is a player that does all the dirty work. He'll score those garbage goals, and he is a player that's pretty well-rounded. Palat is a perfect complement to the Kucherov, and that's why the triplets are so hard to play against. All these players can do everything. They can grind it out. They can go north-south, east-west. They can play any style of hockey. And they can also play physical if they want. Jonathan Drouin, for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Ever since the playoff began, Jonathan Drouin has been a totally different player than he was last playoffs, or even when he got sent down. Jonathan Drouin has revamped his career this playoffs. He is totally taking control of the pace of the game. He's dictating the pace of the power play. He's throwing hits. He is a go-to player for Tampa Bay, certainly. So Pittsburgh is going to have to keep a close eye on Jonathan Drouin. Nikita Kucherov is the go-to scorer for Tampa Bay. Pittsburgh needs to respect Kucherov as a go-to scorer. He is very similar to Steven Stamkos in the aspect that if you leave him open, he will score. You cannot leave Kucherov open. Kucherov will score. Johnson is a perfect complement to Kucherov, as he is a good playmaker, but he is also a guy that can score. And one thing about Kucherov is equally as good a passer as he is a scorer. And Johnson is equally as good a passer as he is a scorer as well. Same thing with Palat. That makes the triplets almost impossible to defend against, because they are three players that can do it all. The X factor to the series are, for Pittsburgh, Patrick Hornquist. Patrick Hornquist is the player that kind of got lost last series. It seems like in game 5 and 6, he was missing in quite a bit of the game. I'm not sure if he was injured or anything, or he got nicked up, but Patrick Hornquist is going to have to play a big role because Connor Sherry still is not established as an NHL player. So Sidney Crosby really kind of is handicapped if Patrick Hornquist can't show up. The X factor for Tampa Bay is Ryan Callahan. Ryan Callahan is a player that has been there before. He knows the meaning of playoff hockey. He will bring the intensity. He will try to get underneath the opposition's skin, mainly Crosby, Malkin, the star players for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So Ryan Callahan is the type of player that you want on your team, not playing against you. The Pittsburgh Penguins will win this series if the Kessel, bonino, and hagelin line continue to dominate and they get solid defensive play as well as good goaltending from Matt Murray. The Tampa Bay Lightning will win if the triplets and Jonathan Drouin dominate the games. They get contribution offensively from the defense and stellar goaltending from Ben Bishop. My prediction is that the Pittsburgh Penguins win in 6 games. As I mentioned before earlier in this episode, I will be previewing the Western Conference Series or Western Conference Finals tomorrow.